The smell first hits me from 5 blocks away. It's Friday and I can't stay away. The Blue Jays are playing, but I won't likely risk it. I'm here with a plan to binge on her brisket. My mother's brisket.
Oh, so far this year, there have been 3 surprises in the music world in a day and age where we know everything. 3 artists were able to go into the studio and make albums without any of us knowing. David Bowie's The Next Day was released back in March. Justin Timberlake's The 2020 Experience came out a week later on March 19th. And now Grammy Award nominated and Juno Award winner Rick Moranis has released his 3rd album, My Mother's Brisket and Other Love Songs. And Rick, I guess I have to say congratulations for being able in this day and age to record the record without the paparazzi and everybody getting up all on you.
Unlike the first 2 guys you mentioned, in my case, I don't think anybody would have cared.
Come on. Bowie, Timberlake, Moranis. I see a supergroup forming one day.
Yeah, you and I don't know how many other people, but thank you.
How long has this record been in the works?
Well, I've been writing the material over the last few years and started working on a demo for these songs a little less than a year ago. And then around last December, got incredibly lucky and met this gentleman, Gary Schreiner, who heard the same record that I did, and we began the work on arranging and hiring the musicians and recording it, and we finished it up a couple months ago.
When I first started to listen to it, what I could think of was those great tracks that, for whatever reason, my dad used to always have on his reel-to-reel by Alan Schurman and other comedians like that. Is this meant to be Alan Schurman-esque?
It's not meant to be anything other than me and the arrangements and production of Gary. I mean, I too remember a couple of Alan Schurman songs. I remember Hello Mudda and Hello Fada and maybe 1 or 2 others that crossed over onto mainstream rock radio. And I remember also the You Don't Have to Be Jewish albums and a couple of other things like that in the 60s. And when I was trying to explain this to people, just to make them understand, just to locate it, one of the ways that I would describe it was that it was sort of a klezmer-sounding hybrid of perhaps those 2 things. But it's its own thing, and for me what it was just taking the filter off of not caring anymore and just doing what I felt like doing.
Let me put this in context, ladies and gentlemen. I want to point out that right now, here on Saskatchewan Weekend, this is the Rick Moranis, star of such films as Ghostbusters, Spaceballs, Little Shop of Horrors, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, my personal favorite film of all time, Strange Brew. You also know him from SCTV. His The Agoraphobic Cowboy was a Grammy-nominated album back in 2005, and that had been the first time that we had heard from you for a while. In fact, when we look up information on you on the internet, where we now will know everything, you are officially listed as retired.
Well, this is what we love about, or at least what I love about the internet, is they're wrong all the time.
Good.
And this is the only hope we have for journalism being saved.
One-on-one conversations. That's right. So can I tell people that you, Rick Moranis, are not officially retired? You're just doing what you feel like doing?
Well, I never retired. I don't know who put that entry into that incredibly reliable Wikipedia, but there was no way I was going to change it because as I say, I love untruth on the internet. No, I pulled out a film because I was a single parent and I didn't want to do any traveling, but I continued to perform at home mostly, and I did voiceover and commercials and was doing all kinds of writing, and I just fell back into songwriting, something I hadn't done for a long time. I'd done a lot of music on SCTV and got enormously lucky and got cast in Little Shop of Horrors. And music had always been a huge part of my life. I thought that I was going to do that for a living before I found my way into comedy. So it was great for me to be able to get back to songwriting, and the first genre that I decided to work in was a genre that I love, which is rockabilly and bluegrass and folk and all the stuff covered under the umbrella of country. Mm-hmm. And there was one song on that album that dealt with the Jewish theme, and I think that opened the floodgates for beginning to explore some of these themes that I deal with in this album.
Yeah, I'm never going to be able to sing the 12 Days of Christmas anymore. You've now got the 7 Days of Shiva in my head.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to Dave Thomas yet because we did a 12 Days of Christmas on the McKenzie Brothers album, too. Yeah.
Do you look back at those SCTV Bob and Doug McKenzie days, or was that just, that was something I used to do, here I am today?
That was the time of our lives. To be involved in something that incredible and so full of surprise and success in such a short amount of time, and especially, I mean, the show was wildly successful, but the McKenzies exploded. Mm-hmm. That never happens, and for it to have happened once to us was phenomenal, and we loved it. We absolutely love it. We had such a blast at the time. That entire period, although it resonates to this day and had such a profound effect on so many people. A lot of comedians that are around today were fans of that show and were inspired by it, which is very gratifying. But that whole thing for me was only a couple of years, believe it or not. And I mean, I spent close to a year on the movie Little Shop of Horror. So when I look back on it, it's so full of memories and so full of so many wonderful characters and stories and things that happened, and the experience of being in Edmonton and the locations we shot around Edmonton, and just how wild and exciting it was at that time.
Yeah, full disclosure, I have to be honest, I was in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and my buddy Kevin and I were wanting to go to the movie location that was used as Bob and Doug McKenzie's house in the film Strange Brew. So I am an uber nerd, and we're just standing there looking at it, and I'm thinking how unique and original it was to stand in this house. But I talked to actors, and to us, it's something that will live forever. To you, it was a brief moment in time that you look back on fondly, but does it come up often in conversations unless you're promoting the new record or something that you're doing?
I'm inevitably going to find myself in a place at one point or another where someone will mention something from the past. Sometimes it's Bob and Doug, sometimes it's another movie. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their favorites, and people talk about different things. But, the funny thing is that for the fan, for the audience, the movie is 90 minutes, and for the actor, it's 4 months, and for the writer and producer and director, it might be 2 years. So when I look back, I don't look back at the final product. I look back at the experience of doing it. And for me, when I think of the McKenzie brothers, I think of the actual, I think of a lot of things, but I think of the amount of time I spent with Dave and how hard I was laughing all the time, and the traveling we did together to promote the movie and the record, and some of the experiences we had. And the characters continued to live on for a long time. We did commercials, we did, a few more things. I was content to leave them behind a long time before that, but when there was interesting opportunities, we took them. Now I feel like it very much is a thing of the past. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to do it. It was a really wonderful experience. My Mother's Brisket and Other Love Songs is available in stores and online now from Rick Moranis, who's here with us on Saskatchewan Weekend. Did you totally take the filter off when you were writing these songs? Did you just basically say, this is the record I want to put out, or did you have to limit yourself even a little bit this time around? No, I think I took, when I say I took the filter off, I wasn't going to eliminate themes and subjects and language because I was trying to go for a wider audience than potentially a Jewish audience. Okay. I really felt like I was making this record for about 8 people. And in fact, I was going to do a very, very small internet release. And then the attorney from Warner Brothers, who had helped me with the distribution deal of the last record, I called him up just to make sure that I was free and clear of all obligations and everything. And he said, well, what are you doing now? And I said, oh, it's not for you. I'm making this record for 10 people. It's a Jewish record. Nobody is going to... And he said, well, the record business is very different now. And I said, look, there's no way you're going to want this. He said, well, let me listen to it. And he's a Jewish guy from New Jersey. And so he came over and he listened to a rough demo and a rough mix of a couple of the newer songs. And he took off the headphones and he said, you're crazy. There's Jewish people all over North America. They're going to love this. So we wound up making the deal, and here I am. And this label is based in Nashville, and they could not be a better team to work with. I flew down there and had meetings with them, and the things that we came up with, a couple of them are unprecedented. Usually, as as a promotional add-on, they'll do a T-shirt or a hat, a cap, or a poster. We did a yarmulke,
yes.
And it's a yarmulke the likes of which you would get at a wedding or a bar mitzvah. And apparently we've broken ground. This has never been done before, but I said to them that I thought this was a gift item and that people would want to buy these for their cousins. Yeah. And so we offer a mincha package, a minion package of 10 CDs. A minion is a quorum of 10 people that you need to do certain prayers. And so you can go online and buy 10 discs for $74.99, only $7 I mean, I can't believe that they would go for these ideas, but they were really, really great about it.
I thought that was funny when I saw them on rickmoranis.com. You can get the yarmulke with the CD. I thought, okay, he's really going for it here. This isn't just a joke. He's serious about this. So I thought very interesting way to market that record.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit concerned that a couple of things were potentially too irreverent for certain people, and they might find some of them offensive. Friends of mine that I had sung the songs to as I was developing them and played the final production for, said to me that I had no reason to worry, but I really thought that there were a couple of people that I might that might be offended, and I've been really surprised in the last few days that has not been the case. My friends were right. People are really embracing it and really responding to it.
I was driving around in my car listening to it, and I thought, okay, let's keep going. I'll go an extra few blocks so that I can get to the end of it to hear, oi, the mistakes I made and some of the great stuff on there. Before I let you go, what career path do you follow now? Is there another movie in your future? If somebody from a TV show called you up and said, come and make a guest appearance, is that something you'd think about? Or do you just take each day at a time and see what comes up?
I think I take each day at a time. I mean, I really do I've always loved radio, I've always loved sound production, and I've loved writing songs and recording. I'm intrigued with the idea of possibly doing some live performance of this music. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'll just have to wait and see what develops. I'd like to do another record, not in this genre, but in another genre. I'm not saying no to anything, but you know, I had a lot of different careers within the one career. I was in radio for many years. I did stand-up for a brief time. I was a writer for a while, then a TV performer, then a film performer. Every time that I moved through something, I kind of didn't look back. And at this point, I'm open to anything, and yet at the same time, I like what I'm doing. So we'll see what happens.
Rick Moranis, My Mother's Brisket and Other Love Songs is available now. And through your movies, your film, your music, as I said, Strange Brew has gotten me and my friends through many, many a fun night. I'm glad I had the chance to talk to you. Thank you for your many years of entertainment, and congratulations on this record. I really enjoyed it, and I hope folks give it a chance and give it a listen.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to talk to you, and pleasure to be on your show, and I'm really glad you like it, and I thank you for your interest and for taking the time.
Tremendous. Can I get you to do a promo for me before you go?
Sure.
Just say, hi, this is Rick Moranis, and you're listening to Saskatchewan Weekend with Dan, and the last name is Reinish.
Okay.
And anytime you're ready.
Hi, this is Rick Moranis, and you're listening to Saskatchewan Weekend with Dan Reinish.
Spectacular. Rick, a huge fan, and I'm glad you had time for me. I really appreciate this. And
I'm glad you had time for me, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick.
Wonderful interview.
You take care. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.